Well, hello there, friends and family. Good to see you again. This is June the 3rd, Wednesday. My, 79th day of self-isolation. And yes, I have yet to go anywhere. Well, except that ride we took over to that Forever Wild place. And I'm not counting it. Didn't run into any folks. And I've been rethinking as much as I can. Still trying to look at a way to renew the registration on the truck. That's the whole holdup. Of course, getting the kitties over to the veterinarian service. I'm thinking next week. Sooner or later, I got to do those two things. But I'm out here with the Kitty Krew, and I wanted to go over a few things. Do just a little quick update. And like always, I got my faithful companion with me, Magoo. Well, not always. Sometimes Cleo don't tell them we're taking a video. Isn't that right, Magoo? Sometimes she just lets you be sleeping. Uh-oh, and look who we got coming up. Yep, we got Elrod. Come on over, Elrod. I don't think our viewers have seen you in a while, have they? You my buddy. You my buddy, my special kitty. You are. Yep, we miss you when you're not around. See, Magoo gave you kisses. You giving them kisses, Magoo? Is that your buddy? Is that your BFF? Yep. They're best friends forever, right? Yeah, that's my buddy Elrod. Well, come on over. Let's take a look at what we're going to talk about. Well, at least one thing. And y'all know what this is. This is my little tomato plant where I've got the two Atkinson heirlooms over there to the left. And these are two Beefmaster hybrids. Now, first of all, I want to talk about is the difference in these tomatoes. Now, yeah, like I said, the Atkinson right there, they're an heirloom. But they weren't always an heirloom. They were a hybrid. Because those tomatoes were developed right over at Auburn University. Or this neck of the woods, the Deep South. Very tolerant of heat, drought, and humidity. But they also have some disease resistance. They're resistant to Fusarium wilt, race F1, gray leaf spot, Spatoria leaf spot, and root knot nematodes. All four of those are very prevalent in the South and will lead to killing off your tomatoes. And you should look up each one of those diseases. Take a look at the pictures, what the leaves look like when they got those diseases, and familiarize yourself with them. Because depending on where you live, your tomato plants may get them too. But something I want to talk about, resistance. That don't mean they don't get the disease. That means they're resistant to it and have some type of survivability. Now that may be just to where the point that they set fruit, bear fruit, and then die. Or it might be they'll be resistant to it all throughout the season and continue on. And this is what I want to show you. I hate to step on my mulch because we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But I want you to look right here. Hopefully the camera will pick it up in this bright sunshine. You can see that leaf right there's got some brown spotting on it, yellowing. There's actually another leaf over there, a couple more here in the bottom. Now, to me that looks like Spatoria leaf spot, or it could be gray leaf spot. Actually, I'll have to go in and get my book out and look at the pictures, but I'm thinking that's Spatoria. Now it could be early blight or late blight. That is a highly destructive diseases in the South. But later on, this afternoon when the sun gets off these, I'll be trimming those lower leaves off. Probably should have already done it. But like all things, I'm behind. But I'm going to tell you a secret about these different diseases, funguses, and mildews your plants get. Yeah, the spores will live in the ground in your gardens. You know? That's why they always tell you, once a plant gets it, and that it dies, don't compost it, burn it, or put it in the trash. Now, how do the spores get in the ground in the first place? Because I have never grown tomatoes anywhere near this section of ground. Well, here's a little secret for y'all. The spores of these diseases, funguses that you'll get, and mildews are airborne, folks. Yep, they get picked up on the wind from wild areas in your vicinity where they also grow, and they get deposited right here on my old home place and your place too, and on your plants. Now, some of them can actually be brought to the plant via certain different insects. Yep, sure can. Aphids bring diseases. So do certain beetles and even caterpillars. But that's enough on the disease. Now you can look over here at this Beefmaster, and so far they don't have no leaves showing no brown, black spots with yellowing. So whatever's over there on the Atkinson has yet to infect these Beefmasters, which by the way are an heirloom. I know I said that all the time. And it's got some disease resistant properties as well. It's got a verticillium wilt resistance, fusarium wilt resistance, and root knot nematodes as well. But nothing about Spatoria leaf spot, gray leaf spot, blight, or any of that. And that's why I'm doing side-to-side comparison to see which one here, whether it's the Atkinson or the Beefmaster, thrives, survives, and produces for me here on my home place in the deep south. I would suggest you do the same with whatever varieties you're thinking about. And that's where that garden journal is going to come in, and you keep notes. So next year, you know which one to plant, which one not. But another thing I wanted to show you, and I've been out doing some checking today. Let me get something out of my back pocket. You've seen it before. Yep, here we have it. We got our meter back with us. Hope you can see it. And you'll, like I said, this particular one here checks moisture, light, and pH. Of course, I have no doubt there's plenty of light here. Yep, she's pegged. But how moist is the soil? Well, to learn that, we're going to have to stick in one of these planting areas, if we can get her in any, which ain't looking too easy. Okay, we got her in there. And here again, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just at the top end of dry to where it changes to moist. So yeah, these need watering. Yep. Now, they get watered every day. Now if you look here, this ground's just bone dry, hard as a rock. Why? Well, It hasn't rained here since May the 27th. What was that, 7 days ago? And then we only got a ½ inch. Yep, that's all we got. And we're needing more. And they say, you know, maybe today, tomorrow, off and on for next week, we're going to have some spotty showers. And then beginning next week, we'll see the effects of that tropical storm coming up through the Gulf. And we'll just have to see what that turns into. But that's not the reason I want to discuss moisture and watering. I wanted to show you something. And this goes back to why I mulch here in the deep south. So let me set y'all up and we'll talk a little bit more about this. So I got y'all sitting down on the ground with me. And you can see I've got this mulched. And originally, this was mulched up a good 8 to 10 inches high. Now with rain, and of course me stepping on it from time to time, it's compacted down to about 4 inches. So at some point in time, during this summer growing season, I'll be adding more. Let me show you something. You saw how dry the ground is? That's not covered, and trust me, it's so dry I can't get those moisture meter probes even in the ground. But we're going to uncover this back a bit, as much as I hate to, and we're going to show you right here. I think you can see that, right? Can you see how dark that ground is? Here, let me bring you closer. Yep, you can plainly see. It's nice, dark, and moist. Of course, you can also see ants doing their business underneath it. It's part of it. This ground is nice and moist. Yep. We'll just see how that, I can take my fingers and dig it up. And then I can press it together and it holds its shape. But it'll crumble easily. It's moist. Now, this ground here hasn't seen rain in 7 days either. But you can see how moist it is. And if you uncover back to the plant, you uncover back to the plant where I got that little water catchment well, you can see it's just nice and dark and moist as well. And that's something you also need to know. How far your roots come out on each plant. Now, I already know. The feeder roots on this tomato, they'll extend out anywhere from 12 to 18 inches around the plant, depending on soil conditions and how healthy the plant is. So I'm not too worried about this plant being overly dry. There's plenty of moisture just 6 inches away. That's keeping it going. But yep, this evening it'll get watered again. This is unworked ground. Not sure if we'll be able to get it in there, but let me try. Well, we were able to get it in there ways. So now we just got to see what it says. You see? It's almost halfway up the moist scale. Where the tomato, well, over here, was just at the top of the dry scale where the moist scale starts. So that's showing you the benefit of mulching your ground. I would suggest you do it, especially if you live in the southeast, southwest, the desert states, California, and it won't hurt to do it if you live anywhere else in America. It'll just save you water and help your plants. So I've got to do this little area here. Now I didn't put the cardboard down underneath this grass. I meant to, But at the time, I didn't have too much. Now I got plenty, but I'm not going to rake the mulch back off to put cardboard down. It'll be okay. Yeah, I'll tell you straight out. Some grass and weeds will grow through it. I put mulch down where it's been 24 inches. And some weeds will snake their way up through it. So this is something we got to get done today. But before we do, I'll trim off some of those lower branches that are affected over there on the Atkinsons. And they'll get fertilized. And so will these Beefmasters. And then this plot, or at least this plot of tomatoes, will be wrapped up for the next 2 to 4 weeks as well. Well, except with some additional water. Now, as you can tell, Kitty Krew, they ain't gonna stay out here in this heat and sun with Papa. And I know many of y'all on the last garden video knew that was a Japanese beetle that was right here. And I knew it too. But like you can hear, my Japanese beetle eaters, aka birds, that beetle was gone, a few minutes after I walked away. The blue jay swooped down and nabbed him. And that's the only Japanese beetle I've seen. Of course, when I shoot a video, sometimes my memory in my mouth can't make the connection. And even though I knew it was a Japanese beetle, I couldn't get it out of my mouth. So I just went on with it. Now, something we got to do later this afternoon too is we got to start collecting our radish seed. Yep. Because as you can see, we got a lot of pods turning brown. Sure do. And I'll bring out a paper bag and I'll start plucking off the brown ones, popping them in that paper bag. And you just sort of got to keep an eye on it. And I'll collect as many as I think I'm going to need for the remainder of this season and next. I'm sure once I get most of these, I'll have all the radish seed I need for next year or more. And then I put it in the bag, I leave it in the pods. And then I put it in a cool, dry, dark place. And I'll either shuck it from the pods when I need some, or I'll do it on a rainy day. It's a good rainy day chore. And another thing, I need to get started this afternoon when y'all leave me, is get to mulching this plot. Now, since I do got an abundance of cardboard now, I'll be putting it down and putting some mulch on top of it to help hold it down, break down, feed the soil. You can see those burpee garden beans coming right along. And our okra we threw in over there by the wood pile has already got its first true leaf. Let me show you real quick. See it right there? They all got one leaf. Okra's pretty darn resilient once it gets established. I mean, for most of my life, that's what I've done with okra. Direct seeded it. Last few years, I always start some in pots too and do some transplant, just in case. Because sometimes the slugs and pill bugs, they will get it, as y'all have seen. But I gotta get those 3 rows mulched on out. Think about what I'm gonna do in the center there. I got some thoughts on it, and I'll share that when we get ready to do it. But the Walton butternuts are all looking really healthy, and they're all putting on their second true leaf. Yep, you can see it right there. Right there. And all of this will need to be fertilized, cardboard laid down, and then mulched out. And then it'll be fine for 2 to 4 weeks as well. Maybe even longer. Potatoes are still coming along. Dirt's finally dry enough. I'll go ahead and fill in the trench around them. And that, you can probably see the one down on the end. Well, it's got to be up there around 16 inches high now. That baby's growing. So I'm going to be stacking a lot of mulch up around it, either this evening or in the morning. One thing about it, this don't look like much that I'm doing, but it's a lot for one person, especially one little old person. I mean, right now we're 90 degrees. Everybody with sense is in the shade, which is where I'm at right now too. Kitty Krew is. They said, mess on Papa. He gonna stay out in that hot sun by those tomatoes. He can stay out there by himself. And they went and found a shade spot somewhere. Now, yesterday we got all the yard mowed up where it looks nice and fancy. And we took all those grass and leaf clippings. You can clearly see it's a mixture of grass and decaying oak leaves. And we mulched down this entire planting area around our green bell peppers, our Kentucky Wonder Pole beans, and our Beefmaster tomato. Now, underneath this, about 8 inches of mulch, is cardboard. Yep, over every square inch. You can clearly see it right there. And that was a hassle, since I waited until the beans were so big and all the other plants. But I got her done. Had to take all the net down. Really, that was the biggest hassle. But before I put the cardboard down and laid in the mulch, I fertilized everything here. Yep, the beans, peppers, tomatoes were all given their feed and fertilizer. Then the cardboard was laid down. The mulch was stacked on top, as I had it from mowing the grass. I'm going to tell you what, you don't got a grass and leaf catcher on your mower, you're missing out. First of all, when you do mow your grass, it looks mighty fine. Second of all, you're letting all this biomass feed your grass. And you have seen with the way I run my mower and bagger attachment, since I don't use high back blades and I use mulching blades, I still leave plenty behind for the grass. It gets all cut up, feeds the lawn. I get about 60% of it. But this took pretty much everything I got off of mowing this whole place yesterday. That's because it was put on so thick. It was a good 8 inches plus yesterday. And it don't take long for it to dry out like you see and start compacting. But everything here is looking really, really healthy. Those beans, pretty much every pole's got its own bean now. I still got one here waiting a bean. But he's coming. Yep. Those Kentucky Wonders looking mighty fine. Little Beef Master over here. It's looking mighty fine. We had to add a couple more tie strings to it. And it ain't gonna be long before I'm gonna be adding the fourth one. And I just put down 2 poles on a single plant like that. And I run that jute twine around one side, wrap the pole once, run it down the back side. It's just for wind support. But that tomato's looking fine. It's got, I think, oh, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 clusters of tomatoes on it now. You can see one right through there, through the net. I think you can see another one down there on the other side, and there's actually a tiny tomato forming over there. Of course, I'm not going to take net down to show you up close. No sense. You just have to take my word on it. So this plot is finished for the next 2 to 4 weeks as well. Thank the Lord. But here again, the reason I do the mulch is to conserve moisture. Because like I say, it's been 7 days again without rain, and then we only got a ½ inch. And the second most important reason is to shade and keep the soil cool and the root zone cool around my plants. And I have done studies on this many times. I've had plants growing without mulch, and during the heat of the day they'll wilt down. Now they'll come back once they go in the shade. Now if you go out there during that heat of the day and start really laying on the water, not on the plant, around their planting hole, they'll perk up some too. But in areas where I do this heavy mulching, as you can see, that plant, tomato, and those beans, just Monday before I did this, and I should have took a video of it, these beans were wilting, so was the tomato and the pepper. They were all looking droopy by noon. And it's going on, 1:30 in the afternoon. They're still looking fine. Looking just fine. You can see, if I'd have left those poles 8 foot, that beam would still been going. Nope, that's just too high. Mr. Tom be climbing up a ladder anymore. Kids were right. That's just silly. But I also got this bean planting all worked up yesterday. Got the fertilizer laid in on it, and it's ready for mulching. So if you get the drift of the plan today, once that sun gets a little lower, we're going to be doing a lot of mulching. Cardboard cut. Yep, now these are the rattlesnake pole beans. And you can see runner forming right there. It'll be going up that pole soon. Got a longer one right there. Yep. I think in the next 3 to 5 days, many of these will be running up the poles. And from my area, in the south, southeast, deep south, I would think in the southwest, and in the desert states, You can't beat rattlesnake pole beans. I don't care what anybody says. They are extremely drought resistant or tolerant, heat tolerant, and they keep producing during the heat when many beans will not. And I don't care if you got bush beans or pole beans. It starts getting in the 90s, they shut down. And I can show you on past videos, especially in 2018, these produced all the way through the summer, early, late fall, and died with the frost. All year production. From the time I set them in the ground that year in 2018, which I was late again that year because I didn't retire till May the 18th. And I think I stuck the rattlesnakes in on sometime towards the end of June. So they were actually planted in the heat of summer. So if you want to try some pole beans and you live in the south, southwest, desert states, well, I don't even care. If you live in other places, you want a super productive one that if you forget the water for a day or two, it'll be fine. I suggest you try them out. Just my thought. Of course, we also got our cucumber planted, fertilized out. And even here on this little bed, this little trough bed that I built with 2 landscape timbers, it's only about 5 inches across growing area, 8 feet long. I worked fertilizer in, cultivated. And I'll put a few inches of mulch, probably about 3 or 4 on top of there. So when I run that soaker, it won't spray up in the air out on the side where I don't want it. It'll keep it all right where I do. Right around those cucumbers. And they're looking fine. They surely are. And these Cassandra, let me show you. These are all female, so every flower is supposed to have a cucumber. That's what makes them so amazing. Where my dinosaur cucumbers over there, and most cucumbers, by the way, have male and female flowers. All heirlooms are that way. That's why beginning gardeners, and even some more experienced that are forgetful, they see a whole bunch of blooms on their cucumbers early in the season. Then they start falling off, and you start answering questions. Why are my blooms falling off? Well, early in the season, it's most likely because they're all male. See, your plants won't put on female blossoms until they're established enough where they know they're healthy and capable of producing their fruits. Because, folks, all the plants want to do is have their babies and replicate. Survival of their species. Yep, just like animals, mammals, fish, humans. Their whole purpose in life, to continue the species. So now, I only got 2 of these, but it'll be interesting to see if these Cassandra, which are normally grown in greenhouses, first, how they do here in the deep south. Second, how they produce in comparison to my very own dinosaur cucumbers that I'm growing and developing right here on the old home place. This was from my own seed. Super productive, drought resistant. And if you don't believe me, watch my 2018 garden walkabout videos and see these grew up 15-20 feet and then grew all the way back down to the ground. So I'll guarantee you the vines were 4 foot long, and they didn't stop producing till the frost took them. But I'm real proud of the cucumbers. Just got to keep the soil moist. Because remember, cucumbers, they're 80 to 90% water. So they do take a lot of water, and they'll take even more throughout the heat of summer. Hence why they're going to get mulched too. And I still got to get some seedlings transplanted. But just a little quick update on the popcorn. It's starting to pop right up there. It's about 2 inches tall now. Looking fine. I didn't have to pay no $3.99 for a seed packet. Or $1.99, $2.99, or $1 at the Dollar General. I just opened up my bottle of Orville Redenbachers, took 6 seeds out, stuck them in my own planting soil there in that 8-inch pot. So y'all, that's pretty much it for today. I gotta put this old camera down, put it back in the house, and I gotta switch gears and start getting all that we just talked about finished up. So this video may come out late this evening or extremely early tomorrow morning. Well, I see the Kitty Krew. Oh, and there's one of the kittens. I don't know if you can see it. It's one of her 2 kittens. Yep. She brought them over to home. Let me see. Oh, it's going back under the car. And that's one of the 2. Now, I saw both of them yesterday. And from what I can tell, they won't let me get close to them. They won't come up here with Cleo. But from what I can tell, they're pretty much just like Cleo. Jet black. But hopefully they'll come up and trust me. And I'll have to get them to the vet too. Then I have to figure out what to do with them. So y'all, now we weren't out there all that long in that heat. But I'm already awful sweaty. Weren't doing nothing but talking to y'all. Such is life in the deep south. And most people aren't out in this heat right now if they don't have to. They're sitting in the nice air conditioning where Trixie is. And as soon as I cool down a little bit, I'm going to head in there too and get me a cold drink. So that's about it for today. I wanted to come on, discuss a few things with you, and give you a quick update. So, didn't think nothing happened over Mr. Tom. I know many of you knew I was thinking about going out this week. I've rethought that. I'm going to let it slide till next week. Really, the only 2 things I need to leave for are to get my truck re-registered, because Alabama unregistered it. So I got to do that, and that takes going to the courthouse. If they hadn't done that, I could have got the tag for it online. Then I'm going to have to start taking the Kitty Krew one by one to the vet. Hopefully start next week. And I'm thinking, based on the size of those kittens, there's no possibility they can be nursing anymore. So I'm thinking to start with Cleo. And as soon as I can get my hands on the kittens, they're going to have to go over. But I think the next one up to bat will be Magoo, and then Elrod. So I had 3 to do. Now I got 5. Now I can't possibly keep 6 kitties. You know, that goes back to fixed income and all that. And y'all have been more than generous. plenty of food, treats for all of them. They appreciate it more than you'll ever know. I do too. So does Trix. But even that said, I can't keep taking from y'all. And that, just to keep them all going, so I'm going to have to figure out what to do with the kittens. Cut back some. It's just part of life. Now, if I can't, nobody wants them, I'll make certain reductions in life to make sure they're all taken care of. That's just part of living. You make adjustments to take care of what's really important in life. Your children, your grandchildren, your family, your loved ones, and your pets. Whether they're cats, dogs, hamsters, birds, whatever. We all love our pets, regardless of what they are. I mean, it's just like me. I spend money feeding wild birds, but they do serve a purpose here. They eating bugs. I haven't seen but 2 stink bugs this year. 2. That's it. Where I've seen on a lot of other gardening channels, homesteading channels, they're seeing a pile of them again this year. And I'm not saying I won't, but so far, no. And it's far past time that I should be seeing quite a few of them. But that's just like the Japanese beetle. I knew a bird would swoop down and pick them up, and sure enough, a few minutes later, the blue jay swooped down, caught him in his beak, and took him off. Nice snack for him. So there you have it. That's where we are on June the 3rd, on a Wednesday, 2020, day 79. How long it'll continue? Probably not much longer, because like I said, we got business to do. But y'all, keep praying for essential workers and those who must work. Our first responders, our military, our firefighters, paramedics, you know, nurses, doctors, orderlies, janitors, grocery store workers, truck drivers. They all need our prayers to keep going, to stay healthy. The virus isn't over yet, even though the narrative may have switched over to something else for a while. Right, Cleo? So, don't forget those in our community with special needs. So until me and Cleo, she's the one who stuck with me. I can still see her kitty, at least one of them peeking out from under the focus. Not sure where Elrod and Magoo went. There's somewhere where it's nice and cool. And we got a cool breeze finally showed up. But until we see you on the next video, folks, y'all take care out there. Stay safe. And goodbye for now. God bless each and every one of you, your family and loved ones. Cleo, did the boys abandon us? They just couldn't hang out in that heat, could they? Normally Magoo hangs in there a while longer. Elrod, not so much. Now Cleo, she's gonna hang. And she was behind me, dragging up the rear, but she was still with me. Well, Cleo, you know what I gotta do now? I gotta go in there, put up the camera, take a beating from Miss Trix. Yeah, I know. You and her just don't get along. You mention Miss Trix, Cleo gets offended. Not sure you can hear it, but Cleo's calling her kitties. I didn't realize that's what she was doing the last couple of days. She'd be walking around the yard with this little low meow, and she was calling her kitties. Now Cleo's under the car with them. Well, they're smart. I'm gonna get smart too and get on in the house. Get their food glass. Okay, Trix, I'm coming. Be gentle. What do you want? You gonna give me a hard time because I was out there in the heat of the day with the Kitty Krew? Well, you could have come. What do you want? You want some food? You do. Want some food? Okay. Come on, we gotta put it over here in your new feeder bowls. You got feed right there. Water. Yep. Papa didn't buy it from you. Or buy it for you. 2 of your most faithful fans sent that to you. Yep. Rick and Luli, or Luli, not sure if I'm pronouncing his lovely wife's name correctly, from up in North Carolina sent that to you. And they sure hope you enjoy it. Now, that looks pretty snazzy. And it's all pink. You know how the ladies are about pink. Remember that, guys. It's probably can't go wrong with pink. But Trixie loves her new feeder bowl set. Thank you, Rick. Thank your lovely wife there, and give her a big hug from me. And of course, Trixie thanks you. Of course, she's not going to say thank you right now. She's chomping down on that fancy feast. Yep. One of her favorites too. My spoiled queen of the house. Trix, you gonna come over here and come on? You gonna come over here and say hi? Nope, she ain't gonna have it. Okay, Trix. Enjoy. Papa gotta hook up the old camera. Start uploading to the computer. I gotta get back out. I got a lot going on just in case you want to come on out with me. Help. You know, earn your food, earn your keep. Well, if you don't, Cleo and the Kitty Krew will. And hey, we've got 2 new additions. So I got plenty of help outside, even without you. Be that way. Oh, Papa loves you though. Yep, my old cranky curmudgeon. She might be cranky, she might be a curmudgeon, but she's gonna sleep on top of Papa every night as soon as she starts to see my eyes start to close. Ain't no doubt about that. Well, later on. You couldn't have been hungry. You had food. I just changed what you had, added some new to this bowl.